Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks here to bring you your weekly flesh and blood market update. Let's get into it. It's a pretty quiet week, not completely quiet, kind of middling quiet, we'll say. A couple of spikes, but they all kind of make sense, so nothing too crazy here. But let's jump in and look at the boxes. Unlimited boxes of Monarch are up 20% to $59 from $49. Now, granted, we've had a few down weeks, which were weird right before this release. But with the release, people want some of those Shadow and Light cards, so they're out there buying the boxes. Boxes are back up to $59. Note, this is a below happy place price. 62 was kind of our stable price for the longest time. Came down to 59. It was a 4% drop or so. That's why it's bold. And then it continued to drop, and now we're just back to below our happy place. So we'll look at the chart, but this is reasonable considering the release. I think people are picking up these boxes. If you're holding on to boxes, I would keep holding on to them because this sort of activity means more stuff's getting opened, and eventually the price will go up. But we know, because of the supply, it's going to take a long time. So just hang on to those boxes. This is not the time to sell into them. Might be the time to crack them if you're feeling lucky and you want to get some, interesting rainbow foils. You won't get gold foils, remember, and some interesting playable cards. Might be the time to sell the singles. But I will tell you, the supply is so high on Monarch that it's really hard to make your money back unless you manage to buy them at this 49 price point or something like that. Just is how it is. Monarch's overprinted. It's kind of the Weatherlight and Ice Age of Fab, if you will, which there's nothing wrong with that. It happens. Trying to figure this stuff out is very difficult in a global distribution basis, especially when you're talking about during a global pandemic. And that's what LSS managed to navigate. So they made a few mistakes here and there. They're making good on fixing it with this release. I think it's really helping move some of this product that has been sitting on shelves for a long time. I think ultimately it'll be a good thing. All right, moving on. Monarch First Edition boxes. Now this one's hot. It's hot. It's so hot. It's up 7.56% to 128 from 119. This is where we've seen it spike and drop, spike and drop, spike and drop. Let's see if it holds. I doubt it. I bet it will drop next week just because that has been the pattern for months. If we continue up to this 145 range, I'll be very pleased, but I just don't think it'll happen. We've been in this range bound here for quite some time, so it's just the top of the channel. Nothing too special, but it is interesting that it has moved up. Outsiders, I have no idea. This went up 17.81% to $86 from $73. I don't anyone? Bueller, please leave a comment. Hashtag John's dumb or hashtag outsiders pump. I don't know. Why would it pump? Anyone? Is there Katsu cards or something? I don't know. Speaking of Katsu, some of the meta looks like it's shaking kind of crazy. You got Leviat making top 8 in the Battle Harden. That's crazy. Although the best hero for this set, it seems, the Dusk Till Dawn set, I think she got the most love. You got some Bolton deck tech coming out that's interesting. You have Prism that's apparently abysmal, and then Vincent, a Runeblade, not being broken. What is LSS even doing? Probably amazing things. It's fine. All right. Speaking of Dusk Till Dawn, it's down 6% to $78 from $83. Completely expected. This is the post-release dump. It always happens every time. It will give us that nice little check mark like it always does. Crew First Edition cases. Now this one's a little interesting. Down 4.09% to $2205, $22,005 from $23,000, give or take off a dollar. So it's continuing to decline. We've been seeing it on a slow and steady drop. We will look at the chart on this because when it reaches a certain point, it's going to be kind of too good of a deal to pass up because it just does have one of these situations where the print run on Crew, remember, is small. It is small. Even if you take Unlimited and First Edition together, it's still small. Now, granted, it's a supplemental set, not a draftable set, so there's reasons, but still, it is not that many boxes out there, so some of these may end up becoming quite the steal just because people kind of forgot about it, and then eventually the collectability of it will come back, as it always does. Dusk Till Dawn cases down 5.07% to 318 from 335. Again, it's that steal, that deal, that post-release slump. Nothing too special there. Let's jump into some cards. The Discord has been chatting about this all day. Corsham was selling for under, let's pull it up, under $70. Now, it's a Fable. It's a rainbow foil. It's not cold foil, right? But it's a Fable, and it's selling under $78 or under $70. Look at this sale. Cold foil, 5 of them at $147. What is going on here? Somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. Anyways, we've been seeing quite a few sales on this, and it is one of those things where people just want to buy it. It is a fable. It does make sense. I think it is cheap. I really worry about this one, and I said this in Discord, and I could be wrong, so don't, no financial advice here, but I do really worry about this because we don't know the full print runs on this, and it could be terribly high given the Monarch debacle and uncertainty about the number that of demand, or the amount of demand there was around Monarch. They overprinted, and I think they overprinted Tails even worse, but we don't know yet. Oops, didn't mean that. This one popped up. This said just released. This legendary is already $12. No, it's a rainbow foil, sure. And I know they've increased the rainbow foil amount, so it's kind of reasonable. It's good to get into the hands of players as they need it. I also think this isn't really playable. That's my guess, is that people just don't find this valuable. I kind of feel like maybe Prism isn't playable. I could be wrong on that. Slap me in the comments if I'm wrong. But I feel like she's very difficult to play well, or hasn't been solved yet. Maybe is more realistic. And so this $12 ward card, which means the second you get hit without a freaking spectral shield, you lose your headpiece. It seems so bad. Yeah, $12. I don't know. I am not an illusionist expert. Let me know in the comments why that's good, bad, or otherwise. Moving on, I gotta admit when I'm wrong. I gotta celebrate when I'm right, and this time I think I'm wrong. We did see a spike in the price of this from the original conversation point. It did go up, but now it's come way back down to right where it was when I talked about it before. I think it was like 47, 48 when I was like, hey, this seems like a steal, especially if Levy is good. Well, guess what? Levy is good-ish, I guess, and she's the best of the heroes, and it did spike on that news, but then it dropped back down to 48. So you didn't miss much. That is not surprising. Now, note there's a history pack 1 of these, so there's a lot of supply. All right, moving on. This one's just a weird one. I just was clicking through and happened to see it. $15 for Redback Shroud. That seems really low as well. Granted, we're in the boring set, right? The last set that's now like, who cares about that set? So maybe that's why it's down that low. Is it unplayable? Is it unusable? Any Azuri players out there say, we just don't use this thing. It sucks. We'd rather use something else. I have a feeling it's still used, and Azuri's supposedly in the meta. Maybe not like S tier, but she's in the meta. Let me know. Why is that so low? There's 7 of them at $15. Maybe they just overprinted it. Huh. Anyways, moving on to the charts. Unlimited. WTR is dripping down. This might be looking at that sweet time to start buying some WTR, because we will see this run out eventually. ARC has held up like a champion. It's pretty solid state. It's dripping down a little bit, but it's mostly solid state, moving to the right. And that 120 range has been there for a long time, and the cases are reflective of that. Crew, this one is crazy how far this has fallen down from the case price. I'm not entirely sure why the divergence in prices. Maybe people just trying to clear shelves or something. It's a weird one. But if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Monarch is, this is the madness where it just dropped real low. Yeah, you can see this is that steady state for the longest time. Cases are pretty steady over time, and then just the box dropped randomly. I don't know what happened here, but man, they really went out of went low. They're coming back to that normal price. We'll see if it catches back to that $62 point, but that's just where it is right now in this unlimited mon. Moving on to Tales of Aria. Yep, it just fell down and is trying to pick itself back up. Yeah, why does Tails always have the craziest freaking charts? I can't make heads or tails of it. But okay, that was terrible. I hate puns. Tommy probably laughed really hard at that because he knows how much I cringed just by saying that. He's laughing right now. Anyways, ARC. WTR, nothing to report here. It's, it's the one case that's up there and all that stuff. Same with ARC. There's not many up there. It's kind of artificial. We talk about this. Crew, this is what we were talking about. So it is dripping down. Okay, so this is the chart point I was talking about. This 2200 is our previous step up. If we fall below this, you're starting to look at a discount. I would hold on to your butts and wait it out and see how far it goes. But if you see it drop down too far, if you see it drop down drastically, this is how I look at it. If it drops down drastically, it's going to rubber band up. If it continues on a pace like this, where it's like just slow dip, 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 and it keeps going, I'd hold on to your butts until you see it flatten or start to go back up, and that's when you buy. Typically, that's the check mark that I like to buy, not financial advice, as always. Premium staying intact, following suit, so nothing too special there, but worth checking out just to make sure. Monarch, it is staying pretty steady in this first edition. I think people are really digging the cold foils for Monarch right now. It makes sense. We did see a step up, a bounce off of that level, right? It's a little bit higher, which is actually a good upward pressure point that it bounced off of a above plateau level, so off the, call it the highs of the previous channel, and now it's moving back up. I would suspect that it stays kind of in this channel for a while as it sorts it out, but it is interesting to see that you're getting higher lows and is that a higher high? Yeah, it is a higher high by $2. Very hard to see that though, or maybe $1. I'm not sure. It might be $1. Point being is that it is moving generally up and to the right. It will be volatile for a while, especially as supply and demand kind of get sorted out. Dusk till dawn, new heroes, people build decks, they like them. Say something really works, man, that's going to go up and crazy. Say nothing works, which I find hard to believe, but it's possible. Then it will go down again. So that's just how it is. Meta-driven markets, which is kind of fun. The Brontosaurus, Mr. Brontosaurus, Tales of Aria. First edition, it's weakening off to the side here, just kind of a hump move. It's slowing down, so this could be a precursor to an upward swing, a check mark, if you will. But I'm not excited about Tales of Aria first. There's so much supply, we don't really know what's going on with it. And we need some more data from LSS before this gets exciting. It is interesting that people are still collecting it heavily. I think they're waiting to see, Lightning Wizard or, name your favorite elemental combo of heroes. What could we do? Earth Warrior, Earth Guardian. No, we had Earth Guardian. Earth Warrior, maybe, I don't know. God, what else is there? Ice Ninja? What about an Ice Ninja? They throw little ice spikes. I feel like Benji kind of looks like an Ice Ninja with his little ice pick thing that dies. It feels like an Ice Ninja. Maybe he'll grow up and be an Ice Ninja someday. Anyways, Everfest. Moving just flat. Just boring and flat. That's kind of fine, though. And we do have an ARB opportunity, $2. Not worth it. Don't even worry about it. Moving on to Uprising 2.0, the first of. So a lot of volatility historically, settling out and settling down. ARB opportunity is $7. Pretty interesting that we have this ARB opportunity. It's been consistent basically since the divergence originally back in the beginning of the year. I'm kind of curious how this plays out over time. We will have to keep an eye on this because 2.0 is a special beast, and I do want to see what happens there. I think there's some downward pressure on the value of the cards due to the way they're printing for players, but there's upward value in the amount they're putting into the market. I could be wrong on that. Obviously, all this is speculation and no one really knows. I will say map has not seemed to be much of a thing. It's a stated thing. It's still a policy. I did look it up to see if it was, but I haven't seen heavy enforcement. So either people are getting around it somehow, LSS isn't enforcing it as much because they don't feel they have to, which is possible, or maybe they're just selectively and minorly enforcing it here and there, and that's fine. I get that too. Dynasty, nice and slow steadying out. Remember, this is our first 2.0 supplemental set, so it will have a different pattern. It will probably be a slow decay over time as it gets boring and is less used until the cards are called upon again for some reason. Draconic stuff, I think, was in there, right? And things like that. Things that people actually want in there that are high value. Now, I think it has been pointed out that the Majestics in here can get pretty exciting when the time comes. No, never mind. That's Everfest. Everfest is the one that the Majestics always go bonkers when people actually want them, which is weird because that one's such a weird situation. I guess if Unlimited comes out, that won't happen anymore, but because there's no Unlimited, people are just like go crazy over it. I don't know. I wish we had answers to that. ARB opportunity is actually probably worth taking advantage of. $13 a box if you have retail access or something like that. You can probably get pretty good price if you get the case. So just keep an eye on that. That's assuming, and that's the big check here, is what's the volume sold at $84. While the price may have been stable, if nothing's selling, then nothing's selling, right? I imagine some is selling, though. Outsiders. Coming down and to the right, see, this is starting to look like a healthy release. This is your magic check box, like old school check value. So you get the hype, the spike, the drop, and then the settling out, and then over time, not now, but soon, over time, it slowly goes up. I don't think this is the time. We'll probably get another drop first. But that is that healthy pattern, so I think they're starting to get it right with Outsiders. Now, granted, 3 sets in on 2.0, that's about the time it makes sense to get it right. Arb opportunity of $11, probably not quite worth it, sorry, but getting closer to being worth it. Just keep an eye on that, I would imagine, is the way to go. And then Dusk Till Dawn, we did add the chart. It's silly because it's all pre-release, and then drop off like a rock. So we'll see what happens with that as the time goes and as we get more data. That is it for this market update. I will say the economy is looking a little strange. Inflation has come down 2 reports in a row. Jobs are continuing to be added, so we're not seeing a relaxation in the employment market. Equities are starting to pick up again, which is also strange. And crypto and stuff like that are stable and or growing depending on the week, the day, the crypto. So we are seeing some very interesting economic patterns. It looks like we're as close as we've ever been to such a thing as a soft landing. There's still some calls for some late year downward pressure on the market, maybe a slight recession or close to a recession type thing like we did before we skirted it. Not sure. I mean, honestly, from my read of the markets, it's anyone's guess and no one really knows. But so far, it seems to be doing pretty well, and all things are pretty good. I think at this point, short of a major shock like the real estate, commercial real estate markets, just having a massive collapsing effect on some regional banks, which from what I understand of the stress test, they won't. There's been some pretty decent studies on the banks recently, just in case that happened, because there was a little concern about that earlier in the year. It looks like it's not going to happen. Even if they did collapse under that, they have enough liquidity and deposits and stuff to cover all their situation. Not deposits, what is it called? Reserves, thank you. To cover that situation. So I don't think we're going to see contagion in the system. I think it's a pretty stable situation as far as it goes. It sucks for people that have REITs and massive ownership of big buildings in cities, but the world is changing, and that means an evolution in economics for those people. Unfortunately for them, maybe fortunately for housing, if they can rezone them for housing, we might get better situation for housing affordability within the cities, which would be kind of cool. But we will see what happens there. Anyways, that is it for me. I hope you guys are having a good one, cracking these Dusk Till Dawn packs, playing these Dusk Till Dawn games, or any games, frankly, and really enjoying this hobby that we love. I will get some box openings out eventually. My distribution has not gotten me my boxes yet. I'm still waiting. Anyways, that will come. I hope you guys are having a good one. I'll talk to you later.